Hey everybody, this is Christine S. Blyson with the Portland Mercury. Today on the Rock Report we have music plus an interview with John Haughm from Agalloch. Now Agalloch is an ever-evolving, brilliant local metal band. As their music has changed over time, they've been labeled as black metal, folk metal, doom metal, gothic metal, neo-folk, post-rock, and of course experimental. Agalloch's most recent album, Ashes Against the Grain, proves to be another epic record that will not disappoint their fans. So first of all, tell me a little bit about the making of this album. Like, what did you guys have to go through as a band to get this album done?
Well, I mean, as always, it's a process that starts with me because I'm the main songwriter. So I'll start the foundation of the songs and then give that material to the other guys, and that's how it's always been throughout the years. So. But with this album, I actually sought out a little bit more inspiration. I spent some nights in a cabin on Mount Hood,
cool.
For like weekends to really isolate myself away from interruption and stuff like that, and try to find that inspiration. Because for this album, it really took a long time for us to build back the kind of inspiration and stuff that we'd had on other albums because of various things going on in our lives and stuff that was always interrupting the flow of the creative process. So
okay. What do you feel has influenced you the most on this album and the way it turned out?
In terms of life or music or what? Anything
and everything.
Well, I don't know. I was at the time of writing this album, I was very heavily into a lot of progressive rock, like from Scandinavia, like Thule and Landberg and Agalloch and stuff like that. So musically, a lot of that stuff I think seeped in to this album in particular. And then lately I've just been really fascinated with like Russian cinema and just the whole concept of like a Siberian landscape,
Cool.
Just nothing but ice and stuff. And I've just been very, very into that kind of aesthetic. So I tried to achieve that on this new album, on certain songs like Fire Above, Ice Below, and Not Unlike the Waves, and things like that. It was just a very desolate, frozen landscape, and I think that's an aesthetic I'd really like to explore a bit more exclusively in the future, but who knows. And, I mean, like, even the lyrics, I was reading a lot of northern folklore and, watching films by, like, Tarkovsky and stuff like that, to really get this sort of surreal, kind of folkish, I don't know, story or something that evolved into the lyrics. And I wrote most of the lyrics in a drunken haze, anyway, which is usually, the way to do it.
Yeah, totally. Totally. What direction do you see your music going from here?
Well, like I said, I'd like to explore some of the more cold, desolate aesthetics, which I guess people would say that we've done that already, but not to the extent that I would really like to explore. Plus, I feel like we haven't written our truly the most miserable album yet, so...
And that's coming.
I hope so.
Okay.
I mean,
good.
Kind of like we haven't written our disintegration, or something like that. So
cool. What are your live shows like for people who haven't seen you?
Well, they don't happen very often, but when they do, it's an emotional fit of just we really, really try to outpour into the music as much as we can and yet be able to play our instruments. But I mean, some people have said that we have a very kind of post-rocky kind of visual, or even punk rock kind of approach when we play, which I don't know about that, but we definitely just, like, by the time we're done with a set, we're completely drained, emotionally and everything. I mean, there's been times where, well, in Phoenix one time, our guitarist wasn't planning to do it, but he ended up just destroying his guitar at the end of the set because he had built up so much energy and emotion that it just exploded. And that was a stressful day anyway, but it just exploded, and he just destroyed this guitar. So I mean, stuff like that, you never know what's like if that stuff's going to happen. I mean, people used to get hurt at our shows because we would just throw things into the audience and just make a mess. But and that's just it. It's our live shows are very volatile, but at the same time, they can be extremely dark and calm as well. It's just it really depends on our mood and the way we craft our set list and stuff like that.
Right.
So I think for this album, the shows that we're going to do for this album, we're going to try to build a bit more of a bleak atmosphere rather than just go nuts.
Yeah.
Because I think it fits more with what we're doing now.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you like to do in your free time?
I travel a lot. I'm always either traveling to the Washington Peninsula or somewhere, or I also, with my girlfriend, we make wine.
Cool.
We homebrew like various exotic folk wines and stuff like that. And, I just like to do art, and I paint when I can and stuff like that. The other guys, they're very busy. Our bass player has a family. Mm-hmm. Our guitarist is a professor. Our drummer, he parties. No. I mean, he's got a lot of musical projects as well.
That's what I thought. I thought he was in a couple different things.
He's got a lot of stuff going on, and he does DJ work as well. So I mean, so we've got a lot. We keep ourselves very busy.
That's good. What is your favorite thing about Portland?
Its location, I think, because of all the places I've lived, Portland has the perfect locale, settled, not far from the ocean, not far from the mountains, and even if you want to go to more of a plains, desert kind of aesthetic, you got that as well, down the gorge. And yeah, it's just all of the nature that I really like is just right around the city. So, and I like the architecture. I used to really kind of delve into the culture of Portland, but I don't so much anymore. I just don't have the time. But it seems to have a pretty good cinema scene here. I'm always at Cinema 21, so,
What has it been like for you guys on the Portland music scene?
We've been sort of like, we've been called an urban legend, actually, because nobody really... I mean, I know, I consider ourselves more of an international act because, I mean, people for the longest time thought we were from Sweden or something, and so it really didn't come out that we were from Portland until we started playing live in 2003, and even then people were kind of surprised that we were a local band and why don't we play local more often and things like that, but we've just been kind of a ghost sort of hovering around the scene, which is the way I like it anyway.
Yeah. Do you plan on touring in support of this new record?
As much as we can. Obviously we can't, we're not the type of band who can just tour all the time,
right?
But we are working on some stuff in the future, possibly a European jaunt this fall and things like that. So, we're going to try to play as much as possible. We've got a show in San Francisco coming up, and a show in November in Portland, as well as the one at Sabalas on the 29th. So,
excellent.
We're just going to try to do what we can.
Cool.
I'm really hoping the European tour will turn out, but I'm not getting my hopes up yet.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.